Hi, this is a little tutorial to kind of help you with the Cook's Tour finding aids. This part specifically focused on the Discover service. Um, for those of you who don't know, the Discover service is like our sort of library version of Google. We just try to bring together all the different resources, mainly databases, into one place and using one search box. So I just wanted to kind of go through this so you fully understand it, some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages, and mainly some of the tools that are available here for you. Okay, so what I'm asking you to do is think back to the TED Talk assignment and the topic that you have settled on, and just do a kind of basic search surrounding, that kind of touches on the topic. So I'm going to do aqua, actually server, water, cool with the asterisk, so this will get cool, cooling, cooler, and I'm interested in this because of the controversy with Google and their server farm, which is not too far outside of Charleston, and their need to cool those servers, and their requesting to pump all kinds of water out of our local aquifers to do that, and there's a lot of concern that it's going to deplete the water reserves that we have available. So anyway, I'm kind of doing a basic search here for water-cooled servers. All right, so now we get our results, and you can see here that we found 991 results, and it's various different things, as we know from the Discover service, newspaper articles, journals, books, etc. And so, like Google, it tries to rank things by relevance, i.e. the most relevant stuff comes to the top, but you can resort that by date. So if you're more concerned about getting the most recent information, you can change that to sort it by the newest stuff down to the oldest in terms of data publication. Okay, what's next? And so, especially in a case like this where it's kind of science related, sort of timely, that's when you might want to focus on the most recent articles, most recent publications. So if you're doing something more history related, or a lot of things more in the humanities, you might not be as concerned about the data publication as you might be with something in the sciences, or something that's a kind of recent event. Okay. All right. So one thing you might not have noticed before is this sign-in feature here. One drawback is that it's not sort of tied into My Charleston, so you're creating yet another username and password to remember. But it does have some advantages here. You can create folders, in the cloud. So if you have various different research projects, you can save stuff that you find in the library into certain folders, so you can have all your projects organized, and all the resources that you found for your projects all in one place, all in a folder online, so that you can any place where you can access the internet, you can get to the different sources that you've filed away in the different folders here. You can set up alerts that will do some automatic searches and then email you with anything new that comes up. It's up to you to decide if those things are valuable to you. But for me, the most valuable thing is to be able to create folders in the cloud and just save all the stuff that you've accumulated for one research project into those folders and have them accessible. Okay, let's see. All right, so another thing that you may or may not noticed are the limiting tools on the side here. So one thing you can do is limit to full text. So a lot of you probably have experienced situations where you get all the information about a journal article or a newspaper article, and you're unable to see the actual article to get the full text. So you could limit to just full text, but I want to caution you in doing that. You're going to be limiting yourself. You're going to filter out some things that may not be available right away, but might be super essential for your research. So I generally encourage people to not click on this limiter, just to make sure that you are seeing everything that is out there. Because if you do find something, citation for something that looks like it's going to be really valuable to you, we do have an interlibrary loan service that will allow you to request materials that we don't have available to you immediately through the library. But if you make an interlibrary loan request, that will enable you to have things sent over from other libraries that do have that material. So you just put in your request, and our interlibrary loan people will find that information for you, and in most cases you'll just get a PDF with the article, if it's an article, or if it's an actual print book. They will send over the whole book, and you can check it out like one of our regular books. So I just want to make sure you are aware that we do have this interlibrary loan service, and that you might want to make use of that, especially if there's some things that you find that look like they're going to be particularly useful, but we don't have them available to you immediately. Okay, so another limiter is the scholarly peer-reviewed limiter. So this pertains pretty much exclusively to academic journals. So you may have heard the term peer review in the past, but essentially what it means, certain journals, scholarly academic journals, have a peer review policy in place, which means that any submissions that they get for a publication go through a review process, usually 2 or 3 other scholars in the same field. They look at the work, evaluate it, determine whether it's sounds credible, etc., worthy of the journal, and only after it goes through that review process and gets the stamp of approval of those reviewers does it get published in a peer-reviewed journal. So you have other academic journals that don't have a peer review process, and then you have magazines and newspapers that definitely don't have a peer review process, and most books don't have that peer review process. And for those of you who have some experience with doing research, and especially with the scholarly peer-reviewed stuff, you know that it's can be pretty hard to read. It's geared towards other academics. So the good thing is that it enables you to know that the stuff that you're looking at is credible. The drawback can be that it can be super esoteric, and sometimes it's hard to pull out things you can actually use for your own work. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, source types. All right, so don't get too caught up in the terminology, but what I'm getting at here are basically being able to distinguish between books, magazines, newspaper articles, academic journals. You can see some of the other source types here, but the main thing is just being able to distinguish between the types of sources, because different types of sources are better suited to different types of research. When we're talking about the water-cooled servers, depending on how I'm approaching it, in newspaper articles and magazine articles might be better suited to what I'm doing than an academic journal or even a book. So I just want you to become aware of that, and think about what types of sources are the most appropriate for your work, and then be able to use the limiter to just filter out everything except for the type of source that you're specifically needing. Okay, content providers. Down here, super easy to overlook, and borderline in terms of whether it's meaningful or not. But if you click that, what a content provider is in the language of the Discover service are the databases. So this can be a little bit confusing, but we have close to 300 different library databases, and when you're searching the Discover service, you're searching a good number of those all at one time. But so what happens when you search the Discover service, sometimes you can get overwhelmed with results, and with results that are coming from various disciplines. So sometimes it's worth it to look at the content providers and see if you can identify a database that might be more specifically geared to what you're doing. So if I'm interested, more in a business angle, I might switch over from the Discover service just to Business Source Complete, so that all the articles there are kind of business related. I might specifically be looking for newspapers, so I might rather use something like Newspaper Source just to get newspaper articles. Or I might be more interested in the scientific aspect of it, so then I might switch over to Science Direct. So the benefit of identifying a library database that's specific to your topic is that everything in there is going to be related to what you're doing, and you're getting fewer results. So theoretically, the results are going to be richer than they would be just doing a generic Discover service, where you might have to be scrolling through pages and pages of results to pick out the ones that are specifically the ones you are wanting to find, and are related to what you're doing. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of these tools and the way you can use them to essentially make the searching part of this as efficient as possible. All right. Once you have kind of used limiters, done a little legwork to kind of get some results, I'm asking you to kind of zero in on an article or two that looks good. When you choose an article or a book, or one of the hits that you get, and you click on the title, that gives you a fuller record, so you give a better idea of what you're going to get here. All the citation information. And regarding citation information, there's a handy tool here on the right for Cite. So if you click that, it'll generate some works cited entries and different styles. So choose one that you're comfortable with, or is suitable to the topic, and then you can copy and paste. It's kind of a pain here because it'll when you copy, copies also the background information. So you have to fiddle with it a little bit, and also just be very careful if you do use this tool or some other citation generator, because sometimes there's some mistakes that come through. This one looks pretty good to me, but just be careful not to just blindly copy and paste these things. You really need to look at them closely, because sometimes they don't they get messed up when they get generated like this. Okay, let's see. All right, so that kind of does it, I think, for the Discover part of this tutorial. play around with it. I don't want you to get hung up on any details. This is really just to get you to explore the full range of what you get with the Discover service. So definitely don't try not to get frustrated. This is really just for you to get a chance to explore all the tools and just play around with them, and then it's up to you to decide, what is meaningful to you, what's useful to you, and what isn't. All right, that's it for this section.